The draw is one of the most important parts of recurve archery, and specifically today, I want to talk about why many, if not all, top archers end up drawing below their chin before they come up to anchor. So, thank you for joining me, Mike, for this. I think this is going to be a really interesting discussion because you've also experienced this with a lot of your archers as well, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah, because it can be implemented in the correct way and it can be implemented in the incorrect way. So we can cover both today.
Yeah. So I think this is going to be really good. So to kind of start off with, if you like, I'm going to share a couple of videos I've got which kind of demonstrate this thing. And the first video I want to share is one that's on my website. And this shows Thomas Giraud from the French team. And the reason I wanted to show this is because it's a large example of this drawing below the chin, essentially. Similar to Jean-Charles Valadon, who also does the same, also from the French team. But watch now, if I play this in half speed, how low Thomas goes with his draw hand. I mean, you can't even see his draw hand, obviously, from the back here, but you can see his forearm, and you can see he's basically gone maybe 5, 6 inches or something below his chin with his index finger. And then comes up now into anchor. Obviously, you can see his index finger has now basically sealed the gap on his jawline. So I think this kind of demonstrates it in the most obvious way, if you like, because it is quite
That is a
noticeable.
extreme, not yeah, extreme. I think you wouldn't
Yeah,
find many athletes, and I want to be clear, I wouldn't teach someone to shoot like that. That is the honest, just
it's a
being
big
honest. I
amount,
wouldn't
isn't
teach
it?
people to, yeah, he's a
Yeah.
real extreme. I'd love to know the process behind that, why has his coach taken him right to that extreme? What was the problem they were trying to fix, or what was because he would be an outlier if you were looking at the top 100 archers in the world.
Because my understanding of where that technique, that amount of that technique came from, at least, is Jean-Charles Valadon had, I can't remember if it was a motorbike injury. He had some sort of shoulder injury, so he couldn't draw in the normal way, essentially, and then he had to draw super low to essentially get to full draw without pain in his shoulder. And it kind of looks like Thomas has then taken that and thought, okay, is this good for me? Does it work for me? And it turns out, obviously, it has worked quite well. But yeah, I guess you've heard that about Jean Charles as well, right? With the shoulder
Yes,
injury.
yeah, that it was an adaptation of his shooting technique to overcome a problem. So then,
Exactly.
that makes perfect sense. He's a world class individual who's clearly put in the work, and he hasn't affected his performance, and he's found a solution around a problem. But then it's odd when I then see someone else. But is it because they feel they've stumbled across something that does deliver advantages, and therefore they want to more people to shoot in the same way? I don't know. It's curious when you're a world class contender and you're doing something different. You really do need to understand why you're doing it.
If you're enjoying this video and want step-by-step guidance from me to improve your technique, check out my Online Archery Academy video courses. Go to onlinearcheryacademy.com, click Explore the Courses for a special discount. Now back to the video.
And one of the earliest kind of examples of this, I think, is really good to show as well, which is Im Dong Yun here. So I think this is really interesting because there are earlier examples, but Im Dong Hyun from as early as 2004, I remember seeing him at the Athens practice field, the videos of him training there, and you can clearly see this kind of motion where, again, this is a lot less than Thomas, and maybe, there's an inch or two that he's drawing below his chin here, but this was apparent from way back, essentially, and we're just going to rewind slightly so we can watch, and I'll put it in half speed again. But you can see here, draws below, very much below, and then comes up into anchor, and then expands through the rest of the shot. And he was doing this in 2004. There's a couple of other archers that went to the World Champs in New York in 2003. I forget the Korean guy's name, but he was probably one of the earlier archers to do it. He went lower than Im Dong Hyun as well. But essentially, this technique quirk, if you like, or part of the draw, some people might think, okay, Im Dong Hyun does it, Thomas Giraud does it. But actually, what I want to show now is I'm just going to quickly go through a couple of different videos as well. So that was Im Dong Hyun. And then we've also got Yunmi Jin from a long time ago, again, 2004. And video's a bit pixelated because it was 2004. But if you watch here, slightly comes low and then into anchor again. You can see with the elbow as well, with the draw elbow, it's less pronounced. She's probably one of the least, but still comes up slightly. So this is one
And
of,
this would be much more like I would be trying to teach. Unless there's a
yeah,
reason to do something different, this would be much more what
your
I
kind of
would
style, right?
consider. Yeah, this would be much more the sort of baseline. Unless there's a reason to do something different, this would be where I would start from.
Yeah,
Im is he's not extreme at all. I consider that to be perfectly fine as well. So I wouldn't change the way Im shoots, just to be clear.
yeah,
But the French boys, yeah, I'd be like, oh, why are we doing this? I would
yeah,
have questions. Whereas those two examples are within the parameters of what I see as world class shooting. But it doesn't mean we
yeah,
don't have outliers. We do. As the years go by,
absolutely.
we have less and less outliers. I think global technique has come narrower and narrower towards the Korean model. Whereas if you'd gone back to the 90s, we could have put some Russians on here who really did shoot different.
Yeah,
Whereas now everyone is sort of squeezing into the same technique, broadly
that's a,
speaking.
yeah, good observation as well.
It's me again here. If you don't want to join the courses just yet, but you want help from me, sign up to my free weekly newsletter by putting your email address in at onlinearcheryacademy.com and clicking join now. Or click become a member to join my online membership community where you can get access to loads of exclusive content plus ask questions directly for me to answer in Q&A sessions. So check that out if you want to. And now back to the video.
And to kind of round it off a little bit, we've got Ansan here,
And
more
San.
modern, obviously.
Yeah.
But this is 20 years on, essentially, from the previous videos, and she draws just a little bit under. You can see here, if I just put this on half
Centimetre,
speed. Yeah, exactly, just a little bit. Obviously, she has the
between a
higher bow
centimetre and half
raise.
inch. Yep.
Yeah, but she does have that drawing under the chin. And now, I've showed a couple of different archers. There's loads more examples that I wanted to mention about this. But really, the thing with this is, I kind of just want to explain what this does, and people watching now can kind of follow along at home. If you try and draw your hand to your face, the issue becomes apparent in your shoulder and your scapula. Basically, you end up that the scapula is not gliding and sliding around your body as easily as it could do. So if you feel like you're just pulling in here, what ends up happening essentially is you end up using more bicep, you end up using more forearm and kind of grabbing the string a bit more, and you don't really fully come around with the scapula. So what I want people to try while they're just watching this, maybe on a train, this might look a little bit weird, but if you're at home, you can try just, okay, I'm just going to bring my index finger to my chin here, and I'm just going to see what I'm doing when I bring my index finger to my chin. And what happens with this is, unless you're really conscious and you have the muscle memory, there's not really a lot going on with the scapula. There's not much coming around. There's not much leading from the elbow. And if you were to take your t-shirt off and film it from the back view of the scapula, you wouldn't see much of that scapula squeezing towards the spine. Now, instead of thinking about bringing this index finger to your chin here, I want people that are playing along with this at home to think, okay, I'm going to pull from my elbow here, and I'm going to use this elbow to bring my hand to my neck and then up to anchor. And then I want you just to kind of play along with what that feels like. And I'm actually going to do it left-handed because I have no muscle memory left-handed. And when I do the index finger to the chin here, there's just nothing. There's no scapula. There's no using my lats at all. There's no bringing that shoulder blade round. But as soon as I think about using my elbow to bring my hand to my neck, if I go elbow to my neck, this, you can't see it obviously because it's on that side, but this has come around massively. My lat has engaged and essentially kind of hooked almost around the spine. And then this is what we'll get into in a minute, I think, but as long as then when you come here and you come up, that you don't collapse off, then this is a really good way to essentially allow this kind of sliding around and coming around with the scapula. So if you, people watching this, if you now look at the top 20, top 15, top 10 archers in the world, men and women, you're going to be incredibly hard pressed to find someone that doesn't draw under a bit. And this is the real key thing. It varies the amount. Some people, like we've seen Thomas or Jean Charles, it's going to be like a huge amount. Some people, like Ansan, it's a centimeter. But pretty much everyone has some kind of amount. So this is what I kind of wanted to outline as the kind of beginning of the video. So that's what it looks like. That's why people do it, because it's about that scapula coming around. And I think that's probably a good place, Mike, to kind of conclude part one of this video. And then we've kind of teased a little bit of that. This is the whole kind of outline of the issue, if you like. And then very soon on the channel will be published part two. And now we're going to kind of talk about a little bit. I think you've had some issues with archers overdoing it and the string pulling a bit too far.
Yes.
I think we should talk about that. I think when I was demoing it as well, the thing that people always ask me, because you probably spotted this when I just demoed it, is, well, obviously, yeah, but like, this movement I just demoed, the string is going to be cutting way past your face. So how does that marry together? So that's going to be part two. Stay tuned for that very shortly, and we'll see you in the next video.